Dr. McGuire. Yeah, I'm joining. Yes, it is. No. Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, we've had some interesting meetings thus far, committee meetings. We'll continue with our regular city council meeting, the first meeting in October 5th. Dr. McGuire will say the invocation, and please, after the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. McGuire.
Let us remember that we live in the holy presence of God. Let us seek guidance on how to proceed for the betterment of our community in this room, which is representative of our community. Let us proceed in our work and our conversations with prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McGuire. We will start off with roll call. Mr. Hanlon, please note that all members of the City Council are present this evening. We also welcome our City Controller, Mr. Glazier, and our Assistant Solicitor, Scott Folkworth. Courtesy of the floor. Courtesy of the floor, if you have an issue or concern, 3 minutes. If you're speaking as an individual, 3 minutes. If you're speaking for an association or a group, you have 5 minutes. Sir, Mr. Effentrager, name and address for the record.
Effentrager, 214 North St. Cloud, and I represent the Allentown Tenant Association. A few things. One thing, rescheduling the City Council walk, which one person mentioned I canceled. I did not cancel. It was canceled an hour beforehand, but I was in the hospital, unable to tell everybody else it was canceled. So I hope we can reschedule that, fairly soon. I'm not sure what the reason was for it, but I don't know if we all noticed, but a city employee at large upstairs actually said he was in the neighborhood. He managed to find a couple houses that looked really good and said the check work was looking great. He obviously missed a bunch of streets, which I'll show you guys. But anyway, this whole thing with the sign thing is fine, but everybody needs to expand their horizons a little. As I say, we are the Allentown Tenant Association. We spread ourselves across the entire city of Allentown. We provide you problems from every section of the city. There's too much emphasis on one section alone. First off, I would actually put a sign so the fact that maybe people be looking up instead of looking at the ground where all the trash is. Have you noticed that street how trashy it is? The whole way through. As soon as you cross the Whitehall border in Allentown, it's a trash pit the whole way down. And all leave. Nobody's comes here to talk about this. This is what they want to argue about. Just go a block in back of it, about a block and a half. I challenge all of you to stand at the corner of Law and Liberty. The 500 block of Liberty, the 400 block of Law, the 500 block of Broome Street, the 500 block of Brush, the 400 block of Fair, the 500 block of Pratt, and the 400 block of North 6th Street is absolutely disgusting and pathetic with the amount of trash, garbage, blighted properties, pieces of property falling down off these places. I didn't even bother calling it this week because I was on the phone for an hour, my phone was almost dead. Seriously. Take a look at this. Send an employee after. Look at our Facebook page where I posted 30 plus pictures, and I stopped at that point. I had many more. There was tires and debris and everything, and this is the way. I'm not trying to put it down, but this is the way people don't want to live. And we need to start hammering the property owners, whether the rentals or home-owned. We need to start hammering the property owners. They don't want to take responsibility for their tenants. Then they need to know about it. It's not only just tenants though. I got news for a couple of these properties I already looked up. They're homeowners, and their properties are just as trash as a rental next door. But you know what they'll say? They'll sit there and say it's the renters doing it. You know what? It's not just the renters. I got news for you. Renters who get kicked out of somewhere are not going to pack up all their crap, drive across town and dump it on a side road. Renters will not be doing that. They're going to get rid of the TV set and think they're going to take all the furniture and dump it on some side road out of town? No. Those are homeowners. Those are property owners doing this. The illegal dumping for the majority is property owners. there's no doubt. They're management companies, there's no doubt. You cannot tell me the renters are gonna like pile up all this stuff and dump it everywhere. It's ridiculous, it's annoying. Also, 600 block in North City, you know, the whole stretch of Fair Street is pathetic. The mayor, or actually city employee at large upstairs, just walked down the street just a couple of weeks ago. Nothing got done. There's garbage and trash up and down. You can't even pass one part of Fair Street because there's garbage falling into the road. It's a very, very narrow road. It's hard to get a car down it, period. But there's so much garbage up against some of these properties, and it's in the roads. And people just drive over top of it. There's like no sense of pride, period. It doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, black, white, Asian, whatever. There seems like no sense of pride, period. Honestly, I look at this day in, day out, and it just gets tougher every day. 5 years of looking at the crappiest hellholes in the city. Now, we have a lot of improvement. The redevelopment authority has done a fantastic job. The new gentleman on Tom Broadhead, I think it is. And he seems like he's on top of it. They're going after every property on our list. They're looking into it. Some are, are harder to get through than others, but there's a lot of progress being made. But when you see the amount of progress being made, then you look at other roads and just like, why bother? One group can't just do it. One group worried about one little tiny spot cannot do it. This has got to be a citywide effort. You know, I know a lot of people in the West End, and I heard a lot of what they say. That's not our problem what goes on in Center City. Yeah, it is. It's the city of Allentown. It says up there, city of Allentown. It encompasses the whole damn city. East, west, south. Even the new downtown that we've apparently been designated. One other thing that's really, really disgusting in Center City, and nobody seems to notice it. Nobody seems to say anything about it. The newspaper machines. El Toro doesn't exist, but their machines are lying on the sides everywhere in the city. The other Spanish newspaper, it's not even a regional paper. It is an East Coast newspaper that I looked at it 3 separate times and had a friend who's Spanish look at it 3 separate times. It says nothing about Allentown, but only a couple of them are even distributed. Most of the Spanish newspaper machines are empty. Very few more call machines are empty, but these machines are laying all over the place, and it looks trashy. I am so sick of looking at a trashy city. Thank you.
Before I go to the next speaker, Mr. Hartzell, are you representing the administration this evening?
It must be getting late. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Erica.
Hello. Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
Reverend Erica Lynn Gifford, owner of the oldest Halloween parade in America, but that's not what I'm here about tonight. Street address is 139 South Lumber Street. Been a proud resident of the city for 26 years. I come to you because citizens come to me about the first impressions of people coming across the 8th Street Bridge or coming down Hamilton Street. Business owners have come to me. I talked to Darrell about this just on Monday. When you come down and people just dump their garbage early in the morning, and Sweet goes out and tickets them time and time again, and the landlords pay that fine, not the tenant. What we need to do is switch that disruptive tenant, switch the Sweet complaints over to the disruptive tenant line, so that when they get 3 strikes for dumping their garbage, or they get 3 strikes for putting it out too early, like over by the Daddy Man's pawn shop, it's always there at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's this big pile for weeks, for months now. But we need to give the landlord the ability to evict those people. That's all I'm here to ask for tonight. For a cleaner city, that cleaner first inspection. When people come into the city, they shouldn't come down Hamilton and see garbage on both sides of the street, or come across the 8th Street Bridge, or better yet, up 7th, 145, and see garbage on both sides of the street. We just need to switch that over to the disruptive tenant law. So when they have 3 strikes, they're out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, Ms. Miller. How are you?
Very well. Cecilia Gerlach, 956 West Walnut, here in Allentown. Just to make sure I'm within order, my comments are in regards to where it says council meeting, discussion of the appointments that the mayor's making, specifically the Community and Economic Development Director. Is now the right time to speak, or do I wait?
Yes, we're going to make a statement that on October 13th, we'll have the confirmation hearings for the mayor's 4 nominees, appointees. So I would say Curtis before would be a good idea.
Okay, well, that evening, we have a school board meeting, so I wouldn't be able to attend. I just wanted to say that those of you, I know a lot goes behind the scene, but we don't read the newspaper but for those of you who publicly spoke out against the appointment of an individual who the mayor has hired or has working upstairs for the community and economic development, thank you. And I will speak from personal experience. I know what it's like to try to go against the power that is in control of, in this case, the city, or in our case, the school district. So for those of you who have chosen to do that, thank you. It's not about the individual, it's about the fact, from what I saw on the resume, he doesn't have any community and economic development experience. I mean, we have a pretty large portion of our city being developed, and we have the waterfront. I would think that council in the city would want someone who has overseen something of that magnitude in his or her history. It does not appear, unless there's more that wasn't presented to members of the public, unless there's something that this gentleman has accomplished that directly correlates to development, I don't quite see him as the best fit. Maybe he's a good fit in some other area, some other department, but not community and economic development. Does he know about some of the issues that some of us have raised, inclusionary zoning, CIR reports? Is he aware? The fact that the community had no input. I don't think there were any public interviews. I don't think there was any, I know the last chief that we had, they had community members participate in the interviews. None of that happened. So for those of you, more than likely, since the meeting is next week, you probably have an idea how you're going to vote already. So I doubt I'm going to change any of your minds. But I just wanted to make a statement that I hope for those of you who may be wavering, you may get that last minute phone call, that you stick with what you are intended to do, and vote against the appointment of that individual for that community and economic development position. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burlap. Mr. Pearson.
Dennis Pearson, 942 East Dillon Street. East Allentown, Rittersville Neighborhood Association, also in my joking way, known as the Penns Manor Borough, Penns Manor. Sponsors annually the Project Cause Christmas display, and this year we are doing things differently. I probably refer to the fact that we will not be putting on decorations on the flagpole because right now it looks like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. So we will restrict ourselves to putting things around the bathhouse. And a proposed project that we did do in correlation to this to add, spice things up, was having a sugar plum Shoppers Village, but unfortunately, an illness that I fell into, and the fact that I haven't heard from people, you know, whether there's gonna be people there for front to get the word out and whatever, they haven't organized, and since I'm not going to commit myself to putting me back into this shape I was coupled with by overworking myself, which is a problem in the neighborhood level when you work very hard and do very things to get things done and you don't have enough people doing it, you're in a better position because you have people helping you, even though you can work harder too. So I don't think we're gonna have the Sugar Plum Shoppers Village. And that's a gist of my remarks there, but I just wanna end with the fact that, referring to the discussion that we have, ethnic-wise, I consider myself a Native American of European roots, meaning my entire family was here before the American Revolution, and therefore I do not have allegiance to any European nation because of that. That's all I just want to say, and I feel more akin to the Lenni Lenapes, even though I'm not a Lenni Lenape, than other things going. So I end my comments by saying thank you by the Lenni Lenape word, Lanishi.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Mr. Kern.
Hello, Johnny Kern, 222 Walnut Street. Back in July, I submitted a letter to the editor to the Morning Call, and they published an article in July. It was basically, I'm going to read part of it. It says, Allentown officials need to tackle the quality of life issues in the city. City officials need to do more to address illegal dumping, litter, disruptive behavior, neglected housing stock, graffiti, blight, trash properties, etc. Some people may think these issues are minor, but they are quality of life issues that residents face every day that affect their outlook of the city. Also, these issues contribute to more serious problems such as crime and decline in tax revenue and discourage business development and homeownership. Now, the other day I was searching on the web and I came across a page on the recycling and solid waste page. And there's a part in there in the last paragraph that I found interesting, which is, and I have a question. The part that I find interesting, it says Lehigh County Juvenile Probation and the Allentown Police Department Community Service crews provide year-round litter cleanup. Now my question is, does the city still have a community service program that juveniles who do something wrong, the court, says you gotta do community service, and they go and clean up the streets?
That's a county program. That's run through the county, that's run through the Lehigh County Probation. If a child does something that they need to do community service, that's run through Lehigh County, not the city.
Well, the reason why I ask this is
I've been involved with it over years, but it's a good program. Go ahead.
The reason why I ask this is because about 15 years ago when I was a teenager, I got in trouble for not going to school and had to do community service. And the judge ordered me 50 hours, which I had to report to a community resource officer at the Allentown Police Department. It had nothing to do with being on probation or anything like that. And we went around, cleaned up the streets, helped put mulch and plants at Franklin Park was one of the things we did. And I spoke to the guy who used to run that, who used to be the community resource officer, and he told me the mayor got rid of the program. So
Could very well be, but I know it's a county program. Any of my colleagues, Mr. Messenger, go ahead, you're involved with the public works, so you would know.
Yeah, we actually do have an agreement with them yet. They actually come and do work at the Martin Luther King recycling site. They actually do some work at the Yardway site, but we do continue with that program. It might not be as large as what it was before, but they do community service yet. If it would ever get to the point where we can do more with it, we would be glad to.
So what is this community service program that the officer that I used to work with, what was that? Was that something different, or?
No, I believe it was the same thing. It's just that now they actually help out with the Yardway. So they do something a little bit different. I don't believe they have as many people to watch over it. So they watch them while they're there doing work at the recycling center.
Okay, because this guy, he used to be the officer, and he told me the mayor got rid of this program. So.
No.
I'd be so confused when I read that on there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we're continuing with it.
Thank you, Mr. Kern. Anyone else? Community, courtesy of the floor. Mr. Trotter, welcome.
Thank you. Robert Trotter,
I'll wait till you get up here.
Robert Trotter, 1920 West Whitehall Street, Allentown. I just want to follow up on what Julian said. Because when I was a lawyer, I remember the program, but that was back in the 80s and 90s. I think that's a program that could definitely be expanded. I think that could be a lot of use to a lot of kids, just like it was in the 80s and 90s, where it was pretty heavily used in the city. And I just encourage you to look at that. And I know, the other thing I want to say, I know Kenneth is going to talk a little later about the blighted property, 3 terrible blighted properties. And I really hope you guys can help, and the administration can help do something about that, because that's a very important quality of life issue that affects more than people realize, what the pressures people have in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Anyone else curious for the floor? Seeing none, we'll move on. Approval of minutes by common consent?
Yes.
So moved, okay. Old business? Old business for my colleague? Seeing none. Communications. I will read the communications. City Council held an executive session on September 28, 2016 at 5:30 with the city solicitor on pending litigation involving Patriots Park, the appointment process, conflicts of interest and confidentiality. Council then discussed options for handling the appointment of department directors. These subjects are exceptions to the open meeting requirement under the Sunshine Law. Follow up with that, council meeting. Next Thursday, council will conduct a special meeting to review and act on the director appointees that the mayor has submitted on October 13th at 6 p.m. We will have 4 nomination hearings. One for the police chief, one for the fire chief, one for public works, and one for community economic development. And we will start those confirmation hearings at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Reports from committees, Budget and Finance, Mr. Garidi, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Budget and Finance meeting had a meeting earlier today. We discussed 2 resolutions, a bill and a resolution. One of them was tabled, and the resolution. And we also discussed the monthly report. Everything seems to be okay in the monthly report. There were some questions, and we tried to answer them. We still have a lot more to go.
Thank you, sir. Community and Economic Development, Dr. McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. The next meeting has not yet been scheduled, and as earlier mentioned in council business today, informally, several members of the council met with regard to the naming of some street with Kanye Sieta. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Human Resources Administration appointments, Ms. Appa.
The committee has not met since the last meeting, and there's no scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Appa. Parks and Recreation, Ms. Mona.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting, and we have not scheduled the next meeting yet.
Thank you very much. Public Works, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Works had a relatively uneventful committee meeting earlier tonight. Resolution 1454 was in front of us, and it has been tabled.
Thank you, sir. Rules, Chambers, Intergovernmental Relations and Strategy. I'm the chair of that committee. The committee has not met since the last meeting. A future meeting has not been scheduled, but we're looking at redoing the ethics ordinance to make it a little more impactful and stronger. Yes, and we will keep you up to date on that. City Controller, Mr. Glazer, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 items this evening. Number one, there's a graphic up on the screen, which is the updated contracts page on the city website. With the cooperation of the IT department and the controller staff, we've updated this page. If you've ever been here before, it would just provide a list of contracts by year, and if you wanted them, you had to email the controller's office. You had to email, send me the contract to get a copy of it. Once again, with the cooperation of IT, it's now a searchable database. You can search by year, you can pull up all the contracts in 2016, or you can search by vendor name, and then you can download the PDF immediately. So this is a major improvement and a big step forward in transparency. I also hope to do this with audits and any of the other information that the controller has control of. So it's really nice. You don't have to ask for the contract anymore. You can just get it yourself. And I hope this helps. The verbiage up at the top of the page is going to change shortly to reflect the change in the technical capabilities. But I played with it. It's fun. It works, and it's reasonably quick too. Just a comment on the accounts payable weekly check review for the month of September. During the month, we reviewed 457 checks for a total of $4.6 million. We did 13 wires for a total of $2 million. Some of our findings were some wires were posted even late, 3 to 13 wires were late. They had been paid either in April or August. Accounts payable was notified of that, and they will strive to get things in a more timely manner. We found a duplicate payment from one of the departments. That check was voided then. And we noted one other instance where a check had been cut, but where the documentation to support the check was weak. It was an employee reimbursement, and we're holding the check and waiting for proper documentation. And that's my report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appointments, Ms. Alpha. Go ahead, Mr. Reedy, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask the controller a question in regards to the reconciliation of city checks. I know that in the past, we were pretty much behind several months. Are you up to date now, it sounds like?
The controller's at the tail end of this process. March is done. I think we're working on April now. Am I correct?
April is done.
Okay, so April will be completed shortly, and then we'll be into May. So the answer is, we're still behind, but we're working on catching up.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Greedy. Appointments, Ms. Alpha. We have one appointment tonight.
Yes, and that's Eugene McDuffie for the Human Relations Commission. His term will end on January 2019. Is Mr. McDuffie here?
We have to,
Yeah, I know.
you'll get your time, hold on. Just wait.
Are there any comments from my colleagues?
I could say comment, know Mr. McDuffie for a very long time, being a good community serviceman, worked with children for a long time, and I think it would be a great addition to the commission.
I would like to also say that I have known him for many years, and he's an exemplary individual who has helped the homelessness, and he had an after-school program. He has done gun prevention events throughout the city, so I really support this appointment 110%.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I've known Mr. McDuffie one of my days working with the Allentown School District. He's always been open for involvement with the community. He's attending all the community meetings. I met him down at Sheridan. I haven't seen him in many, many years at the community meeting there. I think Mr. McDuffie would be a fine addition to the Human Relations Commission. I welcome you, sir.
Anyone else? Any comments from the public? Okay, Mr. McDuffie.
No, hold on, voice vote.
Okay, on the vote for Mr. McDuffie, Ms. Appa.
Yes.
Mr. Greedy.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. McGuire.
Yes.
Ms. Mota.
Yes.
And Mr. O'Connell.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, Mr. McDuffie, would you like to say something? Congratulations, by the way. 3 times to try to get you up here.
He wanted to say something first time.
Well, hello. I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you, and I want to really, from my heart, thank the City Council for taking this time to allow me to be here tonight, and for the recommendation for the Human Relations Commission. Let me tell you why I wanted to be on the Human Relations Commission. I think we're at a point in the city of Allentown that we really need to see where a lot of things are changing. And I remember a man by the name of Nicholas Butterfield. I don't know if any of you know him. And he served for years on the and I remember when the Human Relations Commission, they were involved in doing a lot of things for, there was always a Human Relations dinner. There was always people, leaders getting recognized in the committee. They were networking, they were going out on the streets. And I'm sure that, you know, I just feel like I want to be able to help create events to support what the Human Relations is already doing, but I also feel like that I can add to the table and I can bring in some diversity. I like to see some new things. I like to see that banquet that we used to have get back started to recognize leaders in the community. I also would like to see that the commission work and support what council is doing, support what our mayor, what the people in leadership are doing to the best of our ability. I don't think tonight, as I listen to many of the things, and this is the first time I've ever really spoken at a meeting like this, and I should tell you, I'm a Christian man, and I strongly believe in God. I'm a graduate of I graduated somewhere. I graduated Kaplan with a degree in psychology, concentration, and substance and alcohol abuse. I'm also an author of Missing Love Child, as well as Angels Without Wings, which Cynthia spoke about. I mean, Councilwoman Cynthia spoke about.
It's okay, we're friends.
And, but I wanted to say that as a Christian man, I think it's important that there can really be no change without unity. And I believe that we need unity in our Human Relations Department, in our City Council Department, in our city. That's the only thing that's gonna heal the divide that needs to take place here in this city. And people, when I saw and I got to attend the commission meeting, which I was very fortunate to attend, I was very impressed with the meeting and so forth, but I kind of felt like there was just some things that I would have liked to see, and I would like to see some more people there that are out there in the community, you know, people who are some of the mothers who are out there on welfare, or some of the other people, and I'm hoping that I can challenge, or at least excite, or at least spark those people to want to get involved, because I think our commission needs to grow. It needs to get a little bit more larger, get more people involved, so that we can accomplish more if we have more people involved. But you can't do better unless you know better. And so I think that it's time that those of us who know better start to speak out and start to really do things that's going to provide affordable housing, stop discrimination of all people, no matter what background or color, but at the same time, do things that are gonna bring unity in our community and support our council as well as the city of Allentown. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. McDuffie, and I'm sure you'll be a fine member. Ordinance for final passage, Mr. Hanlon, Bill 52.
Bill 52 amends Article 307, solicitors and canvassers of the codified ordinance of the city of Allentown by changing the license fee to an application fee, raising the fee from $25 to $50 to recoup the cost of the process of the application, changing the time from going door to door, which is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and separating solicitors from canvassers.
Mr. Garidi, that was in your committee earlier.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee discussed this. Assistant Chief Strauss made an excellent explanation what the bill is, and we approved it unanimously 3-0 we forward favorably to full council.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, do we have any comments from the public? Mr. Heffentrager.
Specifically, what is this covering?
Slow down.
What is this covering? In other words, if we get a door for
somebody rings your doorbell.
yeah, so in other words, to go like get signatures for somebody to go on the council, we gotta pay $50. That's going door to door.
No, hold on. Ms. Strauss, Assistant Chief.
No,
Not political.
no, it's separating the solicitors from the canvassers. The canvassers that covers for canvassing for political or religious reasons do not need a permit or have to
All these
pay.
energy people that pay $50, you're saying?
I'm sorry?
All the energy people that walk around the city that
Yes,
pay $50?
yes.
So that's interesting, then, every single person they have out there, they have 50 people out there, every one of the people have to be covered by $50, or is that blanket?
No, it's $50 per person per license.
Well, I think it's really those people, let's look up, it's $100 then.
I'm sorry?
Just $100 would be served them. Who's checking that though? Seriously, because on one street alone, you'll see 8 or 9 of them.
When we get calls from the police department, gets calls, we do go out, we respond, and if they are going knocking door to door and they are soliciting for business, we do check to make sure they have a solicitor's license. We have cited people for not having licenses.
So as a resident, can I ask for a solicitor's license first before they even talk to me anymore?
You can certainly ask them.
I mean, are they supposed to carry with them?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the public? Seeing Mr. Hanlon, we're gonna go with a voice vote tonight. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
And Ms. Zappa?
Yes.
All right, we have Bill 58 and 59 tonight in front of us, and Mr. Hendricks, you have a comment?
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and look at Bills 58 and 59 under ordinances for final passage in order to vote on these this evening and eliminate the 14-day period between introduction and final passage.
That's a motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
By common consent with my colleagues? So moved, okay. We'll go into Bill 58.
Bill 58 is an ordinance of the city of Allentown that establishes the administrative order fund for 2016, and this creates the fund in regard to the bond issue.
Okay, do I have representation from the Public Works Department? See Ms. McKenna and Mr. Chamberlain are coming up. Good evening, welcome. Now, explain to us and explain to the public exactly why we're doing this. Part of the administrative order, we know that the LCA, but go ahead. Time is up.
The EPA back in, say, 2008, had an EPA order against us for SSOs within the sanitary sewer system. So right now we're doing some capital projects with this money, and we're also going to do some upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, are you talking about Bill 58 now or 59 in combination? Let's do one at a time. Do Bill 58.
Okay.
I'll start with 58.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and Brian and Jenny will provide the technical details that you need to know. This is the final step. These two bills are in approving the receipt of the funds for the $2.5 million note that is being repaid by ratepayers, LCA, to address issues related to the EPA administrative order, going all the way back to late 2013. This had been anticipated as part of the agreement, and for a period of time there had been an escrow account out of the portion of the proceeds from the lease going to the city of Allentown for the tune of $1.5 million that has been drawn upon heretofore to pay AO charges. This bond will become the new means of doing that, and the city is going to actually see reimbursement from the dollars that have been spent out of that $1.5 million coming forward. They'll go back into our coffers.
Thank you, Mr. Hartzell. Anything else bad, Mr. Chamberlain, Ms. McKenna? You okay? Want to add anything? Also, part of Bill 58, before we get to the public, would be we would be amending, and we would be adding section 4 to the bill, which obviously upon an affirmative vote, which we would need 6 votes of the 7-member council to waive the 14-day waiting period and introduction and final passage. Go ahead, sir.
One other thing I wanted to say specifically about Bill 58, this fund is actually setting aside, people have asked often about whether they would be able to see these monies being paid down. This particular fund is going to be the repository for all the ratepayers' monies to pay down that $2.5 million issue over time. There's a separate fund, can't be touched for other purposes, and that's the sole reason for this fund's creation.
Thank you, sir. Comments from my colleagues? Mr. McLean, go ahead.
Just one very minor thing. I think the bottom sentence there, I think that needs to be changed to passage if the bill has been passed. That's it.
Verbiage. Mr. Greedy, go ahead.
Just quickly, thank you, Mr. President. We're going to be tracking those funds in our report, budget finance report.
Go ahead.
That particular fund will appear as part of the fund balances that are in the monthly report. It'll be a specifically different code. I believe it's 080 that will be defined for this purpose. You will see the balance in there. And of course, we're going to make sure there's a positive balance in there so that the note is paid down timely and without issue.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Comments from the public? Hello, Mr. Horn.
2016 East Highland Street.
When this first came up for discussion, it was brought to the council's attention that the royalty fee at that time was suggested that it goes to pay the fees, to pay down the fees that the ratepayers will go.
There's nothing to do, there's nothing to do with Bill 58.
Well, the 2.5, when the discussion came up about the $2.5 million loan, it was told at that time that 5 years of the $500,000 would pay for that. And the question came up, is that the same the royalties, $500,000 royalty fee that they're talking about now? Am I misled there?
It's not, they're not talking about the royalty fee, not at all. Mr. Hartzell,
The royalty fee's not in.
This is not the, to answer Mr. Hahn's question, there was a provision in the concession agreement that anticipated by 2016, separate from the royalty fee, this provision to create this note to cover any future EPA administrative orders during the period of the lease. It has nothing to do with the royalty
Nothing to
fee.
do with the royalty.
Oh, okay, I just wanted clarification.
No, that's right, no, appreciate that. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, Mr. Hamlin, call a vote on Bill 58.
Okay, the amendments were by common consent.
Amendments, yeah, good point, amendments by common consent, yeah, we did the motions, yeah, we got it. Comments, amendment, waiving the waiting period, fine, common consent, go ahead, sir.
Okay, and on the bill itself, as amended, Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire? Yes. Mr. Lorna?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
And Ms. Saffron?
Yes.
We have 7 yeas and no nays.
Mr. Hamlin, we'll read in conjunction with Bill 58, we have Bill 59, read Bill 59, please.
Bill 59 amends the 2016 capital fund budget to provide for supplemental appropriation, the amount of $2,196,452.93 as a result of the administrative order.
And this is in conjunction with the bond.
These are the bond proceeds after taking care of the initial fees coming with it, and as far as the detail, now I will, Jenny and Brian can take it from here about the details.
Yeah, go ahead. Brian, Jeff, go ahead.
Well, the bond, what the bond money was gonna be used for is, we have a capital project in the manhole rehabilitation. We also have, the engineering of at the plant for the AO projects, construction projects that will be going on in the future, and any other, consultants and, any legal fees.
Thank you. Ms. McKenna, anything to add?
He did it beautifully.
Yeah. Hold on a second. And also with Bill 59, we would do an amendment adding, section 4 of Bill 59, that we would, affirmative action of 6 of the 7, we would waive the period between introduction and final passage. Okay, Dr. McGuire, go ahead.
You mentioned AO, and you built for 4 tanks. This is the overflow problem, right?
Yes, this is the overflow problem, yes.
Okay, and I've seen what I recall, sketches of what will be done at the location where the sewage treatment works are. Do I remember seeing 4 large circles, maybe 6 circles? Overflow tanks?
No, if you've seen a picture of our plant, there is certain processes, primary, secondary treatment plants, yes, that was settling tanks, which is usually the circular type tanks that you've seen in the map.
So these are new and in addition to what presently is there?
No, they were existing. I don't know exactly what map you've seen, what maybe future construction details would be. But we're working on the engineering to make a decision on what we're gonna do into the future. For handling any SSOs or any surcharging at the plant.
Okay, several months ago, I met with the committee, and is this relevant things that were discussed with me at the time that you gave me?
Yes, I wasn't at that meeting, but I got follow up on that, and yes, that's what that was, the engineering of the plant.
Okay, and maybe in a month or so, somebody could give me a call and bring me up to date on that, please.
We do plan, we mentioned that we do plan on having a meeting to discuss the outcome of the technical committee. They're working now to develop the overall plans. If I could refocus us back, this bond issue, this money we're speaking of now, is to continue the manhole rehabilitation projects and to do the pre-engineering design work necessary to get ready for those projects. And as soon as we're getting ready to be able to talk about what we want to do, we want to come before the public, inform the ratepayers, and inform council, obviously, and the administration about what the technical committee has done and what plans they're working towards.
Well, to the extent that you know I have that interest, I wish you just keep me as informed as your judgment makes is appropriate, please.
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. Any other comments from my colleagues? Comments from the public? The amendment by common consent, so moved. And Mr. Allen, call a vote on Bill 59.
Okay, Bill number 59 is amended. Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire? Yes. Mr. Loda?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Zappa?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
President St.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna, Mr. Chamberlain, Mr. Hartzell. We'll move on for resolutions for final passage. Mr. Hanlon, R 162.
Are you okay for a while here? We agreed with having them here in case you leave. Okay, I'll be back.
I can read it. Want me to read it?
Once you're on the agenda, you just need a quick suspension.
Yeah, okay. Suspend the rules and do some vote on. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and introduce R 162?
Yes.
Mr. McLean made a motion, second. By common consent? So moved. R 162.
R-162 is a certificate of appropriateness from R for 726 West Gordon Street in Allentown.
It's to deny it. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's a denial.
Correct.
Yeah, Kimberly, right?
Yes.
You got it. Ms. Corey, welcome. Tell us a little bit about 726 West Gordon Street.
On October 3rd, 2 days ago, Harb met to review, among other cases, 726 West Gordon Street, which was proposed for demolition. The building has structural problems, potentially severe. It may collapse at any time, potentially. And the consensus of Harb was to deny the demolition of the building. The proposal, essentially this is what they determined. The proposal to demolish the house is not historically appropriate, and based on structural reports, the east wall of the building could be repaired. In an effort to help make the repair more cost effective, Harb, with advice from the historic preservation consultant, determined that rather than requiring rebuilding by brick, that concrete block could be used and then a smooth coat of stucco put over the wall instead of rebuilding it brick by brick, which would be extremely expensive. So the Harb compromised on that and took the advice of the historic preservation consultant and followed that advice. Other issues would be that if the wall is rebuilt, that the current openings remain the same size for windows, that the rake board be reinstalled, which would be a wood rake board. The owner must immediately shore up and brace the property, however, because it is in danger of collapse. So that is one thing that Harb would like to see happen as quickly as possible. And in fact, the certificate of appropriateness that you would issue tonight would have an expiration date of November 30th, 2016, by which time the work should be completed. And if not, it will expire and will be treated as a violation of the historic district ordinance. And this proposal to deny the demolition was unanimously approved. So if you have any questions, concerns, Mr. McGuire and Ms. Apple were at the meeting and observed the discussion on this, so there is some knowledge on the council already regarding this.
And we also have representatives here from the bank to talk about their plans for addressing this property, and we also have representatives from HARB to speak to you tonight.
Thank you. Any comments from my colleague? Mr. McLean?
I have a question. You say this is in danger of falling, collapsing, correct?
Potentially, yes.
Are we doing anything? I see people standing by, I know they were working and looking at it. Are we doing anything to keep people away from that side of that?
The street is barricaded at the current time?
Barricaded?
Yes.
So when we have been working with the bank or trying to work with the bank indicated to us earlier today that they were to shore it up today. It is not done yet, but we anticipate that it will be done tomorrow. They have a contractor in place that was supposed to have it done today, so that we get the building shored up as soon as possible.
Okay, that would be my concern of the people walking by when it happens to collapse.
Okay, Mr. Burry, go ahead.
Thank you. Two things. One is, I'm assuming that there has been some kind of engineering, structural engineering review on this.
Yes, the city worked with Pennoni and Associates to do a structural engineering report. And basically what they recommended is that the property, or they indicated that the property could be repaired, that sidewall could be repaired, but it needed to be repaired as soon as possible because there is the risk of collapse. And so we've shared that report with the bank, and the bank plans to move forward with first shoring up the property and second repairing the wall. We were hoping to have a specific game plan in place today. We're hoping to make a lot more progress tomorrow in terms of who the contractor is and the date for when the property will be repaired. But we're talking in terms of next week, ideally.
How long would the work take to do this? And the reason why I'm asking is because I actually got a call from a mechanic garage that is right up the street from Hall Street. That's right off of Hall Street, right? And he requested, his business is suffering because he has no entrance. You're right, the whole street, Hall Street is barricaded right off of Gordon Street and up, a couple of feet up from the building. So, and the next building up, I guess his parking lot is across the street right behind that building. And then the garage is right across the street from the parking lot. But he asked me to see if the city can speed up the work because his business is really suffering. People can get in and then, as you know, I guess you made Hall Street two ways now. So people can come up from 7th.
It's blocked off right there at Hall and Gordon.
Correct.
And I agree with you, it really needs to be addressed as soon as possible so the street can be reopened. And so we did ask the attorneys from the bank to be here tonight to represent the bank to talk about the game plan.
So is somebody here from the bank?
Yes.
Yes. You look like a banker.
Other attorneys.
Good morning. Name and address for the record.
Yeah, John Borrell, I'm with KML Law Group, which is based in Philadelphia, but I'm based in Hershey. And with me is Matt Thistle, who is based in Philadelphia. We're both with KML Law Group. And we represent M&T Bank.
Oh, right.
Part of the problem, well, first of all, I'd like to commend Shannon for perseverance in getting to the right people finally with the bank. Because part of the problem was it was serviced by Lakeview Loan Servicing based in Florida. After it went into foreclosure and became owned, basically now it's M&T's bailiwick to deal with. And she finally got someone at M&T who then contacted us today and said, could you go up to this meeting tonight? And we're here. Okay. But I think she now has the right person that she's dealing with, which is important. And it was their hope to have someone at the property today to start the process of fixing it, shoring it up, so it's not going to be in that collapsible state. The next step would be to have an evaluation done by an engineer to see what needs to be done and how much it's going to cost. What Shannon has learned in the Historic Review Commission is that they believe that it's less expensive to fix it
than to tear it down. And then obviously you're saving a house and keeping on the tax rolls until they're getting rid of it. So that's the game plan. You know, specific number of days we don't have, we're hoping in 2 weeks, they'll have the evaluation done, have a report done, and then take it from there. That's what.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Okay.
At the end of next week, they're hoping to have an engineer's report completed by.
Okay, thank you very much.
Nick, I'm sorry, the engineering, structural engineering report has not been completed, or you're saying a different engineer to do the work?
The city has their structural engineer report, however, M&T doesn't have one completed yet.
Okay.
And I don't think the city's report went into specifics in terms of what it's gonna cost.
Okay.
And what specifically needs to be done, just that it's doable.
But it'll be shored up in the it'll be shored up in the meantime.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues?
Yes.
Dr. McGuire, go ahead.
First of all, thank the banking representatives and the work they're doing with our Committee on Economic Development. One of the biggest problems is for our residential and rental properties is the failure, in my opinion, of banks to live up to their obligations in a timely and effective manner. And I hope this will be an example of what can be done by people who operate under under an ethical obligation that's mutual between people who engage in such things as buying and selling property and lending money for them. With regard to the piece of property itself, could I ask Ms. Valori or Mr. Kimberly? We discussed at the meeting, the back end of this property, there's a car on it. And there was a question raised about, is somebody using the bank's property for their parking lot, or what is the termination of that space?
To my knowledge, the property goes all the way back to the alley, and that car that's parked there obviously doesn't belong to the bank. So it's being parked there legally. It shouldn't be there.
Whose hand gets slapped on that?
I don't know that that's something I can answer.
Well, if it's illegally
We
parked.
can tag the city can tag the car.
All right, and in keeping with the idea that a lot of this stuff shouldn't happen, after you tagged it, nothing happens, please tow it fast. The ticketed and untowed things are a big problem. Thank you very much for your work on this.
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. Any other comments from my colleagues? Ms. Atha?
I'd like to thank Shannon. She did one heck of a job. This has been a problem for a long time, and it was a lot of hard work. And demolishing it would be, like the gentleman said, take away the tax base. It's a nice property, and the cost to demolish it would be even more. But thank you, Shannon, for all the work, and David also.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Comments from the public? Captain Traeger?
Two things real quick, and that is actually, Julian had just mentioned to me that technically, the city can't go out and ticket the car without the owner actually calling it in. That's what they told us before, so M&T Bank can call it in.
They'll handle it the proper way. Once they get some authorization from M&T Bank that that's their property and that the car's not allowed there.
Also, could we do a better job though of actually blocking off this area? There's sawhorses there. The word imminent collapse has been used. A chance of it, you never know, so I can stop in 2 minutes, that's it. People can walk there, I watched people leaning up against the building the other day. So, I mean, can we put a gate completely across?
We did speak with the bank today about when they go out to shore it up, to also put a fence around it. They didn't fully commit to that, we're still working that detail through, that's why I didn't want to over-report, but that's the goal.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? Mr. Hamlin, call a vote.
Okay, on the denial of the application,
Yes.
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 Thank you, sir. R147.
R147 requests a submission of 5-year financial plan.
Mr. Greedy, that was in your committee earlier.
As I said earlier, that was on my committee, and basically it's the 5-year plan that has been completed. The 5-year plan that has been completed has now been handed off to council, and it passed unanimously, 3-0.
Thank you. Any comments from my council about R147? We had some good dialogue about that. Any comments from the public? Mr. Hammer, call a vote on R147.
R147, Mr. McGuire? Yes. Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Ms. Zappa? Yes. Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Henricks?
Yes.
Mr. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Okay, thank you, sir. R154 has been tabled. We'll go to R159.
R159 authorizes submission of an application to the Keystone Communities Program for a grant of $500,000 for use in the Upside Allentown pedestrian street lighting program.
Anybody, oh, you want to take this one? Okay, good. Fantastic. This is submission of an application for it. Okay. Hi, Shannon.
Okay, thank you very much. So the State Department of Community and Economic Development recently came out with a grant opportunity through their Keystone Communities program. As you probably know, our Upside Allentown program has a Keystone designation. And one of the reasons why we went after this Keystone designation is because they said if and when money like this became available, we would receive a prioritization for the grant funding. And so what we've chosen to go forward with is to continue to try to push to find funding to do more pedestrian streetlights throughout the Center City Allentown area. The map that I showed you, the brown lines are lines where recently pedestrian, or over the last several years, pedestrian streetlights have been put in. The brown dotted lines have funding in place and plans in place up to the point where we're probably putting out requests for proposals to put streetlights in. The blue line is another grant that we currently have with the State Department of Community and Economic Development. We're waiting to hear on that grant, so hopefully that will be funded. And then what we're requesting tonight is the ability to apply for $500,000 with the Keystone Communities Program to do pedestrian streetlights on 6th Street between Turner and Allen, and we're going to match that with $500,000 in CDBG funds.
Wow, $1 million. That's pretty darn good. Comments from my thank you. This is great. Comments from my colleagues. Mr. Greedy.
I just want to say that it was a great idea to make this a Keystone destination. And I don't know if you were here at that time. Yeah, you probably were. It was a big fight, long fight, but it's actually coming to fruition, and hopefully getting some of this money will make it worthwhile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Any comments from the public? Mr. Hamlin, call vote.
Okay, 59. Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Zappa?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
Yes.
Mr. Henricks?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
And that's the reason.
Ordinances for introduction, Bill 56.
Bill
Mr. Hamlin.
56 amends the 2016 health budget to provide for supplemental appropriation of $11,240 from local funds from the Pennsylvania Department of Health for the purchase of training and supplies for the childhood injury prevention program for the Safe and Healthy Homes.
Thank you, sir. Comments from my colleagues? Comments from the public? Dr. McGuire, this will go to your CEDC committee. You're very welcome. Bill 57.
Bill 57 amends the 2016 capital fund budget to provide for supplemental appropriation in the amount of $999 and result of payment in lieu of tree plantings for the purchase of new street trees.
Thank you, sir. Comments from my colleagues on Bill 57? Seeing none. Comments from the public? Seeing none. Mr. McLean, Public Works.
Thank you, sir.
Resolutions for introduction, there are none. Any new business from my colleagues? Anything for good and welfare from my colleagues? Seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No move. By common consent. Have a good evening.